Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the latest edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the #1 tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley, coming to you live from Vienna, and I'm delighted to say joining me as per usual 3 times a week is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. Sean, how are you, my friend?
Evening, I'm all right. I'm sort of surviving half term, I think, at the moment, just about. It's coming to an end, but yeah, it's all good. And I've put in my request to the European Open for my €16 back from that food card. So it's so yeah, things are great here. Yeah, all good. How's Vienna, more importantly?
Well, because how long do you reckon you'll wait for the €16 to be processed?
We will see, and I will keep the viewers updated because I feel like this is something that people will want to know about.
Well, I'm going to go over under 9.5 days.
You think so? 9.5 days. If it's over 4 or 5 days, there's going to be some emails firing about. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anything's easy, and I think over 9.5 days is a good number. I'd be interested to see what you're thinking of. Vienna's fantastic. I'm really, really impressed.
Yeah, it looks like you're having fun. Apart from the situation with the court.
We'll come on to that in a second. But I mean, if you ever got a chance to, we're very lucky, as I said many times, to be able to do what we do here, travel around Europe. But the one thing I always find, the proximity between the city centre and the tennis arena is usually quite far away. Obviously, you have to take a lot of train or an Uber cab or a cab that could run into sometimes sort of like $60, $70 stateside. You know, Miami's so far away from the South Beach, and obviously New York's so far away from Queens.
They all are, yeah. They are, aren't they?
Well, this is 5 minutes from the city centre. It's fantastic. It's really good. But that is if you want to go to one court. If you want to go to another court, it's about 25 minutes outside the city centre where I went today. So I don't know if you saw Well, I mean, if anybody hasn't seen it, there's a little clip from the video today. Now, obviously, yesterday we tipped Gojo to beat Karatsev, and I wanted to go and watch the Gojo match. I didn't really have much of an interest in that Monfils-Altmaier match. Yeah. So I saw that on the centre court, which we had tickets for, was Altmaier, and on court number 1 was a Karatsev match. When we got this, you can't come in till 1 o'clock local time. I thought that's a bit odd. The Karatsev match is supposed to start at 1 o'clock. So I wandered off to the information desk. Said, listen, I want to go in. I want to watch the Karatsev match. And she said that's at the other court, which is 25 minutes in the city centre. I've never seen that. I've never ever seen where you've had 2 different venues. I don't know. I've looked at the logistics of tennis tournaments like I do now, but to have one tennis tournament 25 minutes away from another court because the arena isn't big enough.
That is weird. I mean, it was a bit like that in Antwerp, but I think what they did was they erected that peculiar tent thing. That looked like a temporary thing to me that they erected in the middle of a building site. But that was only 5. I was moaning about that, and it was 5 minutes walk away. Although it was a real faff because you had to recheck your tickets because if you wanted to then go back in, you couldn't unless you got them stamped on the way out. And there was all that sort of stuff going on. It's nice to go from one court to another, isn't it? Yeah. You shouldn't have to be. I mean, Antwerp was just mildly annoying and sort of quite funny, but 25 minutes. That's
2 different completely venues. I mean,
did they not mention this when you buy the ticket?
Well, you didn't. It's all in German, isn't it? I don't speak German. It's all in.
Yeah, but they normally have the websites normally in English as well.
It didn't say anything to me. I bought the ticket for the Stadhalle, and then on the ticket it had where the day was. It had the 2 venues underneath each other. But I thought that was the address. Stadhalle was something else. The address of it. But anyway, if you are coming to Vienna, bear in mind there is 2 venues. But I tell you what, you should come in next year, Sean. I think you'll like it. The city's great.
I won't like that second court being 25 minutes away.
Yeah, but you can go to that one if you can choose to stay at that one. If you choose to stay at the other, come across. You'll get on the train and come across. But it's a great city, and the arena today, where the actual tennis was in the Stadhalle, is really modern. It's really fresh. It's good, and it was a good feeling, a good atmosphere, and a packed house when we left. We left just as Shelton was about to start against Yannick Sinner. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay and watch that because we were recording this, and we've got a dinner reservation this evening. So we only watched the 2 matches. We watched Monfils-Altmaier. We didn't watch the Gojo match, but congratulations on that. A nice winner there. Plus over even money. That was a nice, easy winner.
Went directly to plan, didn't it? Went straight to plan that. Tired Karatsev. He looked exhausted. I watched it.
You said it, and I slept on it, thought about it this morning. The first thing I did this morning, I thought that's a cracking bet, because of who Karatsev is. And I went in and I bet it, not heavy, but I had a decent bet on it. But I was regretting that I didn't go a little bit heavier, actually thinking about it, really.
You always are when they win easily. You always think, why didn't I have more on, don't you?
Don't be a moron. What are you going to do? Don't be a moron.
You put more on, yeah. So I believe.
Exactly. Anyway, let's move on to the tennis action for tomorrow on Thursday. It's National Day here in Austria, Vienna. It's their public holiday tomorrow. So
They have a lot of public holidays. They do have an awful lot of yeah, they do. They have a lot of public holidays in Austria.
I quite like the idea of that. I mean, I just hope I can get to the airport. Okay, no problems. But we're staying about 2 minutes from where Hitler did his very famous speech in Vienna, and there's an army around there, I think, today. So that's where they're gathering. So I think it's going to be very busy tomorrow, and I expect the crowds to be very busy tomorrow. It's obviously National Weekend, but we'll concentrate on the two tournaments. It's obviously two ATP Tour events this week. One in Vienna here in Austria, where I am, which I did say earlier I was in Germany. I'm not in Germany. I'm in
close.
I know, but it's all the everyone's speaking German, isn't it? I got confused. But it's like when I go to Marbella, I think I'm in Brighton near you. Everyone speaks English, and all you hear is English accents. But
I've lived in Brighton. I've lived in Brighton, and I've been to Marbella. I can tell you, there's a substantial difference between the two.
Yeah, well, I haven't lived in Marbella. I've lived in Marbella, but I haven't lived in Brighton. But it felt like Brighton after 3 months, I can assure you. Anyway, let's move on with the tennis this week. There is another tournament, obviously, in Switzerland, in Basel. And we're going to start with that one before we come on to Vienna. We've got two matches. On the graphic, there was a fifth match, but there was no lines you want to talk about. I haven't checked it. I'm recording this on my phone. Have we got the lines on the final match here, or just
it's really slow. The odds are so slow coming out at the moment. There's no lines. Well, there wasn't 5 minutes ago. I can check while we're talking if you want.
Well, let's stick what we've got. You can add to it in a minute. Let's start with Basel. Well, Basel, we'll come on to Vienna at the moment. The first match we're going to speak about, only 4 matches here we're going to speak about tomorrow. But the first match is Alex de Minaur, the number 5 seed, against Tallon Griekspoor, the battle of the two big servers. De Minaur is -250. Griekspoor is +$2. 3.5 is the spread here. -107 for de Minaur, giving up 3.5. -120 for Griekspoor, who's the favourite, receiving 3.5. The total is 22.5, which may appear to be a little bit low. They've met twice before, but once was way back in 2017 as challenger. The most recent outing, head-to-head between the two of us on a hardcourt, Hertogenbosch, where Griekspoor won.
That was
on grass in Hertogenbosch, where Griekspoor won 4-6, 6-3. I think it was 6-4 in the final set. I don't know why I'm saying it, so I can't read my writing.
It was something like that, yeah.
It was a long match, and if I'm looking at these matches here, Alex de Minaur -250. I think when he comes in, I think he's someone I've always looked to fade. Griekspoor a little bit inconsistent, but the one line with the way they serve these two, the total here 22.5 might look a little bit cheap.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I should just point out, by the way, I mentioned at the start of the week that I wasn't going to have too many bets because there aren't many dogs win generally this week. I think I mentioned none out of 16 won in the first round in Austria last year. It's kind of been the same so far this year. Looking at Basel, at the first 15 underdogs, only 2 of them won. So 13 of the first 15 favourites have gone in. It's a similar number in Vienna, if I could just get that one up. 14 out of 16 favourites there have won so far as well. So that trend is continuing. I think I was right to be a little bit circumspect with my bets, though we did have, obviously, Gojo, didn't we? So this one, de Minaur Griekspoor, as you said, Griekspoor won at home as a 2.55 plus 155 underdog this summer. But a little bit fortunate on the stats. De Minaur won 22% more second serve points and 3% more first serve points. But he lost the match, de Minaur, because he only took 1 out of 14 breakpoint chances, and Griekspoor took 2 of his 3. So he was much better on the big points. De Minaur was the better player overall, but he didn't win the match because he didn't take his many chances, and Griekspoor did. You can see why it's priced as it is on the main level stats away from clay this season. De Minaur 69% win rate and a 106 total service points won and return points won total. Griekspoor similar win rate, 64%, but a 101 total, so it's not quite in the class of de Minaur, really. So that you can see why it's priced as it is. But across the let me have a look at this. Sorry, Griekspoor's held serve, 88% of the time in those matches that I just mentioned, which is away from clay at main level. So his serve is doing him, great favours. Like you, I'm leaning towards the overs here. Griekspoor's season's not over yet. He's still got Davis Cup to go at. I know the Dutch players have spoken about how keen they are to go well in that numerous times. And if you also look at the 2 head-to-head matches, both guys have held serve 89% of the time in those 2 matches head-to-head that they've played against each other. So I think I'm of a similar sort of mindset to you, really, that my lean here would be tie-break played, which I thought was a quite reasonable price for Bet Rivers of 2.45 plus 145 about there being a tiebreak. That seems like a decent spot to me in that one.
Yeah, totally agree. The stats back it up. Just looking at the matchup, I would have thought that the games would definitely be the way to profit. Remember, there's 29 different markets available on the Bet Rivers website. So look for anything that's related to the games, long matches in the first set, long games in the first set, tiebreak in the first set, and enhanced price, a tiebreak in the match, or just even go on the total 22.5. And you can adjust the widget or the little toggle on the Bet Rivers website and move the total game line to whichever one you want to prefer. So if you move up to 23.5, you get a little bit more juice in your price. And remember, if you do place a wager on the Bet Rivers website, you'll be able to live stream the match from the comfort of your own home on your tablet, your computer, or whatever mobile device you may have and want to watch the match. Before we move on to the next match, Sean, I didn't actually ask you about the speed of the conditions. I haven't watched anything at Basel this week, obviously being here in Vienna. I haven't watched one ball served. What's your statistic telling you on the speed of the court? Because we're going to come on to the speed of the court of Vienna here, and I quite disagree on what I saw the day with my eye. But what's Basel telling you?
I've only had stats for the first 5 matches, which isn't ideal really. That shows 80% holds and 70% first serve points won, which puts it slower than it has been before. But I wouldn't be too sure about those stats because I say it's only 5 matches. That it's not a great sample size. It looks like a sort of medium pace court to me. I wouldn't say it was quick. It doesn't look slow. I'd class it as medium pace, which is kind of what it normally is.
I think the condition of the court is paramount for our next match. Holger Rune up against Sebastian Baez. We spoke about Baez on this show in recent weeks that his hard court stats and his indoor stats are improving. He's a player that you always associate with clay courts, and the slower the better for the Argentinian. But obviously now against Rune, who's having a terrible run of form. Amazingly, though, he came through that match against Kekmanovic. I don't know how he managed to do that, but he did. He got out of trouble and he won that match. And he's been installed here as a minus 215 favourite against the South American Baez, who's plus 165. The handicap here is 3.5. Rune is plus 104. Baez is minus 132, giving up the 3.5, sorry. The total is 22.5. Over is even money. Under is minus 127. They've met 3 times before. Baez leads 2-1. They've all been recent matches as well. Rune won the first encounter in 2021, but then Baez has won the next 2, with the most recent in 2022, so last year. For me, Rune is just one that we have to really tread with caution. I mean, it's clearly not fit. He's come through an epic match here, and Baez has got some improving stats. The underdog factor as well is a little bit of concern if you want to take Baez here at plus 165. But what do you think of this one? Because you want to oppose Holger Rune, though, I'm guessing, but can we have enough confidence in Sebastian Baez?
Yes, that's the question, isn't it? I mean, just to get people up with speed, there's all sorts going on with Holger Rune at the minute. I talked about his coaching situation. It's become slightly more clear or slightly murkier, depending on which way you look at it in recent hours. Right now, he seems to be only working in Basel and Paris with Boris Becker. Now,
Boris Becker was in here. Boris Becker was here today, I think. You saw him on the big screen. I don't know if it was an interview in Basel, but
he should be. He's supposed to be in Basel.
There was an interview with him on the big screen today, and he was talking in German, and I just presumed that he was here.
It's probably pre-recorded. He's supposed to be in Basel with Holger Rune. So it's been mentioned in various people have mentioned that. Prior to that, obviously, he was working with Patrick Mouratoglou, but before that, he was with Lars Christensen, who's coached Holger Rune since he was a kid, and then there was a bit of a personality clash apparently between Christensen and Mouratoglou. What a surprise with Mouratoglou involved. I can't imagine that would have been easy for Christensen, who's coached Rune since he's a kid. And then all of a sudden Mouratoglou comes in. Then Mouratoglou leaves after quite a short period of time. Christensen kind of comes back. Now he brings Boris Becker in, and all of a sudden Christensen is not with him at all in Paris, but Becker is. There's all sorts of weird. It can't be good for Rune, can it? With all these different voices, you got coaches coming in, coaches coming out, new voices, old voices. It must be extremely disruptive to his game. I know he's had these,
and his mother in his ear as well.
Yeah, I don't think she really helps, to be honest. She seems more of a hindrance than anything else. But I'm from the outside looking in, obviously. He had that good win against Kekmanovic, but it wasn't exactly convincing, was it? They both scored the same number of points, 84. Statistically, not much in favour of Rune. He was a sort of worthy-ish winner in the end, but certainly not convincing. Obviously, Baez beaten Rune a couple of times on the clay, which obviously Rune previously and probably still does class as his favoured surface in Buenos Aires and Santiago. So Baez isn't going to be worried about him. But the crux of this one is how can you bet a guy who has stats like Rune does of late? You know, last 3 months away from clay at main level, Rune has a 25% win rate and his service points won and return points won total is 90, which is dreadful, really, for a player with top 5, you know, ideas and goals of winning Grand Slam. You know, he's nowhere near on those stats. I know it's a small snapshot of the season, but it's obviously relevant to this match. Baez, 69% win rate and a 101 total away from clay in the last 3 months. You wouldn't have thought that was likely 6 months ago, would you? You know, in theory, if you're looking at these two, you would think Holger Rune's game would be too strong in these conditions, but maybe he's trying new things with Becker. Maybe he's trying to add something to his game, and it's a case of one step forward and one step back, 2 steps forward. Hopefully for him, that's kind of the idea I'm getting with him. He's trying to bring something else to his game, and it takes a while. So I definitely couldn't back Rune at this price. I'm tempted to back Baez, but something's saying to me it's not a wise idea in sort of quickish indoor conditions. But 100% couldn't back Rune in this. If I had to have a bet on this one, I'd probably take Baez.
What about on the props? Anything like Baez to win a set or anything like that?
I looked at that. Yeah, that was 1.63, which I feel like if Rune is getting back towards his best level, then, you know, he could win this 2-0, which kind of puts me off that. I'd probably have just a small bit on Baez just to win it, on the basis of, you know, Rune isn't anywhere near the player that most people have seen in the last couple of years.
A couple of things before we move on from Basel, and we can talk about Holger Rune still here. He's obviously the defending champion in Paris next week. Mm-hmm. So he's got some huge amount of points to in an ATP Tour 1000 event, a huge amounts of points to defend there. Mm-hmm. There is a sort of inclination that he might be looking ahead to that, you know, and thinking, well, I got it. You know, I can go through, get things working out, try a little new things here tactically, and then go to there with some confidence. So it's all about next week for him rather than this week. So that enhances the Baez case as well, and also that he is such a talented player. I mean, I at the end of last season, I thought he was going to be. I bet him to win the French Open. I thought he could be someone who could really mount a challenge and sort of push up there with the top 3 or 4 in the world. It hasn't worked out, but the market still thinks that he's going to just come back and show what he showed at the end of last season. It might not be the case.
He probably will at some point. We just don't know when that point is going to be. I mean, for me, he's still a bit immature, sort of mentally, to be winning Grand Slams. He's a bit petulant. He's not really got the sort of serenity, if you like, to go a full distance in a major yet. He's still very young, of course. You know, there's plenty of time on his side, of course, but it's just a question of when or if he's going to come back to the player he was. I'm assuming he will. I just don't know when. I mean, he might be next week. It could be next season.
Well, he could look at it and think, I'll write off the year this year or go to Paris and that's it. That's me done, really. I'll have one last try and get some points. But
he could still qualify to Turin, couldn't he? He could get to the Tour finals.
Yeah.
With a strong performance here and Paris, he could.
Yeah, and then he's a massive fade in that tour if he gets through to that. But anyway, Holger Rune, an interesting one at the moment. We don't know quite sure what the form's going to be. But Sebastian Baez is some lean for us in any one of the markets you want to do. Head to the Bet Rivers website. 28 different markets currently available. I don't think we know the order of play yet on that one, but it'll be starting early hours in the morning tomorrow. So you have to get onto the Bet Rivers website nice and early to find out what the order of play is. I do know the order of play in Vienna, though, and I do know that the matches we're going to talk about are playing in the Stadthalle, the arena which I went to today, not the other one, in the town centre. But the first match on court is 5:45 a.m. It's our pick, Andrey Rublev, our tournament pick. But before we go into that match, let's talk about the conditions. And we spoke a lot about the conditions here in Vienna. Now, I haven't got the stats. You've got the magical stats in front of you there, Sean. But for my eye test today, I know we didn't see, I know it's probably more, you'd know about the speed now. The Shelton Sinner match was gone to the first set tiebreak. You probably know a little bit more about the speed there. You see how Shelton's serving. But on the matches that I saw today, I saw Monfils and Altmaier, and I saw Medvedev against Fils, and it didn't look that quick to me. I thought it looked It looked fastish, but it was on the medium side. I didn't come away there thinking, you know what, this is a lightning fast indoor court.
Yeah, it's not normally lightning fast. It does tend to look not as quick as the stats sort of suggest. I think I said that in the show on Sunday. It's a bit of a strange one. There's a bit of altitude here. Obviously, they can tweak this surface however they like. It's obviously not down there all year, is it? They just relay it every year. So they then talk to the tournament, and the tournament will say, well, this is what we had last year. Maybe that was a bit quick. Let's just tone it down a bit. And of course, if they use different balls, that makes a difference as well. I think I said at the time, I don't think it's ostensibly a quick surface, but it seems to be one of them surfaces where it does aid the serve, but in the rallies, it doesn't look as quick. I can see where you're coming from. It's never looked to me like a quick surface. By the way, the one that you weren't at today, the Karatsev court against Gojo, that did look pretty quick. I would suggest that surface is probably quicker than the center court. And that does happen at a lot of these indoor tournaments. Many times in Paris, people have said the outside, if you want to call it that, courts are quicker than the main arena. That's been the case numerous times in numerous tournaments. But it looks reasonably paced. It's not lightning quick. It's not slow. It's just a sort of medium to quickish court, I would say. Not as quick as Antwerp last week, I don't think. First 5 matches, again, not a great barometer, but 84% hold, 73.2% first serve points won. So again, the stats are telling me that it is reasonably quickish, medium quickish. That's where we're at, basically.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, today Medvedev looked good. Very, very impressed. I know he might.
It's a good win. That's an impressive win. That is.
He was second set. He was superb. Feast didn't have anything to match him. He looked really good, and I thought the conditions will suit him. So I know we've got a pick, and we're going to come on to our pick next. But Daniel Medvedev is going to be very hard to beat here, in my opinion. He is the tournament favourite, though. We don't tip favourites here we don't very rarely tip favourites on here. There's no value in the favourite, but on the performance today, Medvedev will take some stopping here. But if there is one person that we want to stop him, it's Andrey Rublev. He's our 9-1 tournament pick. He's up against Arnaldi in this tournament, the Italian, minus 560 for Rublev, plus 400 for Arnaldi. The spread is 4.5, minus 129. Rublev giving up 4.5. Arnaldi is even money, plus 4.5. The total is 21.5. These two players have never met before. Rublev's had a very good season. Won a lot of tournaments. Likes these kind of events as well. He always goes quite deep. Always gives you a good run for your money. But this is a tricky little match against an opponent who is moving up the rankings at a fairly fast rate.
Yeah, he's been impressive this year, Arnaldi. Rublev was a bit scratchy against Popyrin in the first round. I watched most of the first set of that one. He made a real mess of it from 4-2 up, and with a smash to go 5-2 up, made a mess of it. Almost ended up losing the first set. So he did well to come back. He was in one of his sort of combustible moods, Rublev. He does tend to explode on a regular basis, and he was certainly getting angry with himself during that match against Popyrin. So I think he's going to need better here. If we look at Arnaldi, 2023 stats at main level away from clay, so the quicker surfaces. Arnaldi's done pretty well. 53% win rate and a service points won, return points won total of 99, which is more than respectable for a player of his ranking. Rublev, as you would expect, is better, 67% win rate and a 104 total. But interestingly, Arnaldi's actually won more second serve points in these conditions this season than Rublev has. He's won 53% on his second ball, Arnaldi, compared to 50.5% for Rublev. So, he's not going to be too far out of this match. I don't think he'll win it, Arnaldi, but I think he'll be reasonably competitive. He beat Casper Ruud in straight sets in Madrid on the clay. He was pretty competitive as well against Alcaraz at the US Open. He didn't win a set, but he was very competitive. It wasn't an easy match at all for Alcaraz. I feel like Rublev will need better than he showed against Popyrin. Yeah, I think he needs one more win, actually, Rublev, to qualify for Turin. So he'll certainly be motivated. Needs to improve on the display against Popyrin. I think Arnaldi could give him a reasonable enough test here. The over 21.5 games at 1.95 a bet Rivers would be somewhere where I'd probably be looking at if I was betting in this match.
Yep, and the record of whenever I've been to a tournament, I think I've been to 2 or 3 tournaments this year, and Rublev's won or got to the final. So the omen's good for Rublev bettors that Seeley's in town. That helps.
Are you watching him tomorrow? Is he?
I'm flying back tomorrow, Sean. I'm flying back.
Oh, okay.
We're flying back at around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're not at the tennis tomorrow. We're heading home. So literally a flying visit. That's why I was a bit worried about getting to the airport with the old National Day traffic. We're right in the middle of where all the road closures and bans and various things.
Get on the public transport. Get a tram down there, train or something. Bus, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Let's no real. We haven't got an official pick yet, have we?
It's coming up.
Oh, well, it's well worth waiting for. And that match before we move on, that Rublev match, it's an early start, 5:45 a.m. Eastern time. So get across to the Bet Rivers website nice and early to get your wagers down on that if you haven't a bet on that. And but we're thinking out of the year. The over the games, or maybe a little bit of a play on him plus 4.5. Small lean. I think he's going to test Rublev, but we expect Rublev to have too much for him in the end. Final match we're going to talk about. Only 4 matches, like I say. All the odds will be available a little bit later on the Bet Rivers website. But as we currently film this now, there's not many matches to talk about for tomorrow. But we have a bet here from Sean. It's involving Stefanos Tsitsipas minus 265 against Machac. He's plus $2, so 2-1 for Machac here. These two players have never met before. We all know Tsitsipas is sort of form over the last 4 or 5 months, or 3 or 4 months, not the greatest. Machac obviously come through again. Did he beat Vukic in the last round? Was it Vukic?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
very easily, yeah.
The handicap here is 3.5 plus 108. You can get for Tsitsipas giving up 3.5. Machac plus 3.5 is a heavy favourite, minus 139, and the total here is 22.5, around about minus 110 the pair. So you pay your money, you take your choice. You go either over or under, and 22.5 is the line. I can tell by the tone of your voice, the way you said he won easy against Vukic, you quite like Mahac's chances here. Tsitsipas, no one really knows what to do in Tsitsipas matches at the moment. We can't, again, talking about players that you don't want to be trusting at heavy odds. Rune at minus 215, Tsitsipas at minus 265 comes into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the idea of sticking with tie breaks here. First career meeting, you always, they're not going to know each other too well. I can't imagine Tsitsipas to see Machac play very often. And more importantly, Tsitsipas just continues to be the same as he's been for most of this season, which is strong on serve and weak on return, continues to play tie breaks. If we look at this season at main level away from clay, Tsitsipas, very, very serve dominated statistics. 90% holds of serve, only 16.6% breaks of serve, winning just 33% of his return points. It's going to lead to a lot of long sets and a lot of tie breaks. He just isn't breaking enough. And in these conditions, he did it again, and we cashed again, didn't we, with the tie breaks in the Tsitsipas team match. And he's playing an opponent here who's absolutely been on fire lately. Machac. He's won so much and so many matches in the challenges. He won a couple of titles in France. And now, interestingly, he's starting to transfer that form to main level, which he hadn't done previously. If we look at what Machac's done in the last 3 months at all levels, it's really impressive. 86% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 109, and 88% holds of serve. I mean, I know a lot of these were at challenges, but even so, it's that those numbers suggest that he's more than capable of bringing a good level to the ATP Tour level. 2 shot makers, 2 guys with powerful games, aggression, should be able to hit a few winners, should be a good one for the crowd. Several markets appeal here, either the over half a tie break at plus money, 2.07, plus 107 with Bet Rivers. But I prefer in this one, because they've not met before, in this situation, I do like going overs in the first set. Over 10.5 games in set 1, 2.9 plus 190 with Bet Rivers. I really like that. I think that's
wow. That's
the
big
one for me.
That is a big price plus one. That is a big price plus 190.
Yeah, that's over 10.5 as well. That's not even going the full way to a tiebreaker. I feel like that's pretty good value, to be fair.
Is it worth putting a bit of pizza money on the over 12.5 as well?
If you want to be braver, by all means. I haven't got the odds next to me here, but it's a very good price. Yeah,
it's going to be nice. I might do a little bit of that, and hopefully might pay for some schnitzels on the way home, or a little bit of apple strudel, which I had today with fresh cream. Very, very nice. Apple strudel and fresh cream. Very, very nice. Remember, there's a load of other matches as well over in Vienna as well. Gojo against Paul, the hero for us today, against the American Tommy Paul. But obviously, there's 2 different calls. Keep saying, check out where those matches are. If you see court number 1, it's not the same arena. So don't make the mistake as I have. And obviously, it's a little bit quicker on that second court, the court number 1 court. Dimitrov up against Medvedev. Dimitrov's going to really have his work cut out against Medvedev. And one match that I'm quite interested in tomorrow is Francis Tiafoe against Gael Monfils. Now, I know Gael Monfils won very easy today, Sean. Altmaier offered nothing, really. We didn't expect him to do
much. It's not his conditions, really, is it?
It's a great court man through and through. But Monfils went down on his ankle in the second game, and it all the way through the match, he was stretching his leg, and he looked absolutely exhausted
so it was
today.
A typical Monfils match then, in other words.
Yeah. And obviously he's come through last week winning in Stockholm. He's got to go to Paris, where he's going to want to play in front of his home crowd and give them some kind of cheer in what could potentially be one of his final matches or one of his final appearances in his homeland. So
it could well be.
I think tomorrow Francis Tiafoe will beat Monfils, what I saw today, just on that injury concern and the fact that Monfils, at 37 years of age, is absolutely exhausted. So
he should be fresher, shouldn't he? He should be fresher because he only played 5 games against Dan Evans, and that was it, wasn't it? The only problem I've got is that Tiafoe hasn't looked in good form at all, has he? Evans was winning pretty easy before he did his calving. Obviously depends on the price. I haven't seen the odds, but I agree. Monfils he's gonna tap out at some point this week. And I'm not sure when.
It's more to do with the fade of Monfils rather than the high confidence I have in Tiafoe. That's the angle really for me. So head to the BetRivers website. They will have odds on that, but they are the matches available tomorrow in Vienna. You can follow my journey in Vienna on our Instagram page @BecauseWeWin. You can also follow us on our Twitter handle @BecauseWeWin as well. Give us a subscribe onto our YouTube channel, which is Betting Weekly Studios. We're getting a huge amount of subscribers there. Thank you very, very much for joining us, and give us a comment and a review on the little comments box below. Keep them nice, please. Anyway, and also if you follow that, there's some also great football content as well, soccer content. The Champions League is this evening. I'm going to find somewhere to watch that. Just said that. The missus just gave me a very nasty look when I've said that. She looks not very happy about that. The Europa League is obviously tomorrow in action on there, and obviously the weekend we have the European show and the Premier League as well. And obviously, please keep downloading the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Sean, thanks very much as always. I know you've got a busy week. Your boy's at home with all these mates running you absolutely ragged. So I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll catch you next week on Sunday when we're previewing the tournament in Paris, where Sean will be heading. You follow him again on the Instagram page. Thanks for all the hard work this week, Sean. Good luck with your picks, and hopefully Andrey Rublev can do the business, because you know why? Seeley's in town. Take care.